Welcome to a brand new explainer. We are looking at the dramatic backdrop of the 2026 French Open quarterfinals, and what an absolutely stunning tournament this is turning out to be.
It really is. Okay, let's get right into this because what we're witnessing right now in Paris is a fascinating clash of eras. We have this fearless, rising youth taking the courts by storm, and they're colliding head-on with the immense psychological pressure resting on the shoulders of the established veterans. And hanging over all of this incredible on-court action is a high-stakes off-court financial battle that is totally reshaping the politics of the sport. It's just a perfect storm of ambition, pressure, and money, and we absolutely cannot ignore it.
Right, and to truly understand the sheer scale of what's happening on the courts, you really just have to look at this singular number, 3. That is the shocking statistic of how many 19-year-olds have sensationally crashed the final 8 of this major tournament, which is completely unheard of in recent memory. Normally this tournament is an agonizing physical grind. It heavily favors veterans who have those years of conditioning and stamina built up. But this perfectly introduces our core theme today, which is youth versus experience. You have these teenagers playing with absolutely nothing to lose, going right after players who have spent the last decade painstakingly trying to cement their legacies. The kids are tearing up the script entirely, and honestly, it is thrilling to watch. Which brings us to Section 1, the teenage takeover, fearless momentum on the Parisian clay. Let's look at exactly who is leading this incredible charge. Nowhere is that takeover more evident than with Joao Fonseca. This 19-year-old Brazilian phenom just stunned the tennis world. He reached his first ever Grand Slam quarterfinal, and he did it with his absolute idol, 3-time champion Gustavo Couto, watching right from the stands. Fonseca actually became the youngest Brazilian in a quarterfinal since 2004. But what is truly wild is the path he took to get there. I mean, he pulled off an unbelievable 5-hour, 2-set comeback against Novak Djokovic. Then, barely 48 hours later, he digs deep again for a gritty 4-set win over 2-time finalist Casper Ruud.
It's astounding. He is battle-tested far beyond his years. But what's really fascinating here is how these teenagers are succeeding in completely different ways. Contrast Fonseca's epic marathons with Mirra and Andreeva. She isn't grinding through 5-hour matches. No, she is operating with terrifying efficiency. She reached her second major quarterfinal by completely blitzing her 36-year-old veteran opponent, Sorana Cîrstea, in just 56 minutes. 56 minutes! She even threw in a 6-0 bagel in the first set. It's not just a win, it is sheer absolute dominance.
And her post-match interview was absolute gold. When a reporter asked why she always thanks herself after a win, she just said, "I just saw Snoop Dogg say it when he was receiving an award. We also have to thank ourselves for the work that we do."
You have to love that kind of honesty. It brilliantly illustrates this entire generation's mindset. It's hilarious, yes, but it also captures exactly why they are so incredibly dangerous right now. They are completely fearless, they are entirely pressure-free, and they clearly aren't bowing down to the gravity of the moment. They're just out there having fun and executing at the absolute highest level.
Exactly. They aren't carrying any of that historical baggage yet. Every single match is just an opportunity, and it makes them incredibly formidable. Moving on to Section 2, Zverev's relentless quest, the heavy crown of the unfulfilled favorite.
And the mood is vastly different here for the established elite. That carefree joy of the teenagers is replaced by something much heavier.
Right. We're talking about the immense psychological weight on 29-year-old Alexander Zverev. He holds the agonizing status of being widely considered the best current player without a Grand Slam title. He's reached 3 major finals, fallen short every single time, and that pressure is completely palpable. And you could really see that pressure early in his recent match against yet another 19-year-old, Rafael Jodar.
You really could. Just 30 minutes into the match, Zverev falls behind 2-5 in the first set. For a moment there, it genuinely looked like the teenage takeover was about to claim another high-profile victim. But here is where that decade of tour experience actually matters. Zverev didn't panic under the Parisian sun. He just flipped a switch, won 11 straight points to completely steal that first set tiebreak after 68 minutes of play. From there, he absolutely suffocated the teenager, dominating the final set 6-1, 6-3. It perfectly shows how veterans can absorb that initial shock, stabilize themselves, and then ruthlessly apply their experience.
But surviving a teenager on the court is only half the battle. The media pressure certainly doesn't stop either. When a reporter asked him if he feels like the tournament favorite now, Zverev gave this snappy, smiling response. He said, "Why don't you just give the answer then?"
It is a masterful deflection, and it really highlights the strict protocol he follows to survive this highly pressurized environment. because for 7 years now, during every Grand Slam, Zverev completely shuts off his social media and turns off his phone. He outright refuses to engage with the outside noise, the pundits, or that favorite label, choosing to focus only on the very next match.
Can you imagine that level of discipline? Just imagine turning off your phone and shutting out the world for months straight, just to survive the mental demands of your job. He clearly knows the mental game is just as dangerous as the opponent across the net. All right, Section 3, Kostyuk's emotional triumph, a victory bigger than tennis.
This shifts us from the grueling mental game to a deeply emotional, incredibly resonant story.
Yeah, this was an incredibly intense all-Ukrainian battle between 23-year-old Marta Kostyuk and the highly experienced Alina Svitolina. It was a tight 3-set battle that went the distance, ending with Kostyuk advancing to her first ever Grand Slam semifinal. She absolutely broke down in tears on the court, and her interview was profoundly moving. She told the roaring crowd, "I want to give this match to Ukrainian people and to their resilience." It's a stark, necessary reminder. You know, as fans, we get so caught up in the tournament statistics, the unforced errors, the tie breaks, but this grounds the sports trivia in a very real, very heavy human interest narrative. Kostyuk extending her personal win streak to 17 matches is impressive on its own, for sure. But carrying the emotional weight of her entire nation on her shoulders and channeling that into a career-defining performance, that is just extraordinary. Now for Section 4, the prize money dispute. Record revenues and the political battle off-court.
Because as inspiring as the on-court action is, there is a massive off-court financial drama heavily shadowing the tournament this year.
Exactly. To really understand the tension happening behind the scenes, we first need to look at the sheer scale of the money. The tournament announced a staggering $71.7 million total prize pool this year. It is a massive financial operation. And the peak of that prize pool is the number we are looking at right now, $3,253,600. That is the paycheck awaiting both the men's and women's singles champions. It is an incomprehensible, totally life-changing sum of money. Now, organizers have been quick to point out that this represents a 9.5% payout increase from the previous year. They've also put a really strong emphasis on improving the compensation for players in the early rounds, trying to spread the wealth a bit. But that headline figure at the top, that $3.25 million, is what understandably grabs everyone's attention. And if we look at the financial jump between the rounds, it is just staggering. A quarterfinalist takes home over $546,000, which is an incredible payday on its own. But by just winning one more match to reach the semifinals, they jump to over $871,000. And the jump from finalist to champion literally doubles the payout to over $3.2 million.
You really have to imagine how that immense financial pressure affects the athletes in real time. Every single swing on the court carries weight. A single unforced error in a deciding set isn't just a loss of glory or ranking points. No, it can literally be $1 million mistake. The financial stakes could not possibly be higher for these individuals.
But despite these massive numbers, there is a deep, ongoing rift between the players and the organizers. According to player estimates, the current total prize pool only represents about 15% of the tournament's overall revenue.
Right, and the players are pushing to increase their share to 22%. Their core argument is that while the tournament is achieving unprecedented, record-breaking profits overall, the actual percentage of the pie going to the athletes who provide the entertainment isn't reflecting that broader financial growth. So the sheer dollar amounts are up, sure, but the revenue share percentage remains a huge point of contention.
This joint statement from top players really crystallizes their perspective. They state, as Roland Garros looks to post record revenues, players are therefore receiving a declining share of the value they help create. And it's important to contextualize this objectively as a major political tension unfolding entirely independently of the tournament organizers' view. The organizers proudly highlight the 9.5% increase in hard payouts, while the players are laser-focused on their relative share of the total revenue.
It's a fascinating parallel, isn't it? You have the players fighting tooth and nail for every single point out there on the clay, while at the exact same time, their representatives are fighting for every single percentage point in the boardroom. It's a high-stakes negotiation happening right alongside the matches.
Which leads us to Section 5, what comes next? Defining the 2026 season. We are heading into the semifinals, and it is going to be a wild ride. These upcoming matches will absolutely set the tone for the rest of the year. The women's draw is a thrillingly unpredictable contest right now. You still have defending champion Coco Gauff hunting another trophy, alongside four-time champion Iga Swiatek, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, and of course the fearless 19-year-old Mirra Andreeva. Any one of them could hoist the trophy. And over on the men's side, we have an equally dramatic setup. Jannik Sinner, the world number 1, is the overwhelming favorite. He's seeking a career Grand Slam, and he's coming in incredibly hot. Remember, he didn't drop a single set in Madrid.
He looks completely unstoppable. But the crucial context here is the massive absence of Carlos Alcaraz. The two-time defending champion was entirely sidelined before the tournament even started due to a severe right wrist injury, dealing with tendon inflammation and cartilage damage. It's a devastating blow for him, but his absence has completely blown the men's draw wide open. It has given this rising youth movement the absolute perfect window to strike, while a major roadblock is out of the way.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. As a new generation fearlessly challenges the established elite for glory on the court and their fair share off it, who will ultimately pay the price to lift the trophy?
It really is the ultimate question of this tournament. We have these fearless teenagers completely unburdened by history. We have the desperate veterans fighting the ticking clock of their own careers. And we have millions upon millions of dollars on the line with every single point played. The rest of this tournament is going to be absolute must-watch television. Thank you for joining us to break down the drama, the money, and the stakes. Enjoy the semifinals.